The following announcement is paid for by the Wrestling with Nerds.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
Hey there, the name's Nukem, Duke Nukem, and you're watching the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. For some unknown reason, enjoy.
This honky-tonk man, greatest intercontinental champion of all time, and you're watching Wrestling with Nerds podcast. Yes, that's my favorite. Shake, rattle, and roll.
What's going on, wrestling fans, and welcome to this week's episode of the Monday Night Raw vs. Monday Night Nitro. We're in April. Yes, April. It's July, but April. I'm WWF. TJ's WCW. Ryan has the scorecard. But yeah, what's up, Ryan?
Not much. What's up? Just chilling.
Yeah.
I've been pretty busy with some independent wrestling here of late.
Yeah.
I've done went on a show last Sunday in West Virginia. It's lots of fun.
West Virginia.
Getting into the ring announcing and learning the ins and outs of behind the scenes is becoming a lot of fun, and I'm getting into my wheelhouse as far as independent wrestling. I've got the 21st, there's a benefit show in Kaiser, West Virginia for an indie wrestler that's local that's had some health problems. And then July 25th, we're at the Berkeley County Fair in West Virginia. And then there's two shows the weekend after SummerSlam. And that's a 2-night show, and then we come back into town. We go to Hampshire County Fair in West Virginia for a show on Saturday. But the bigger thing that I figured out is I'm going on a road trip, guys.
Where you heading, pal?
I'm gonna go on a day trip. It's about a 4.5-hour drive for me.
Going to visit the Brownies.
I'm taking the drive to SummerSlam. I found a ticket for a decent price that's putting me in a good spot, and I'm gonna leave here just before lunchtime, take the drive. I'm gonna go watch the show and drive back, and then we have our iRacing league starting on August 5th. I might not be there because I'm going to also try to go to Raw that Monday night in Baltimore.
Raw after SummerSlam.
Yeah, so, and I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's like a new tribal chief. It's been a while since we've been together to talk about it, but there's like this new tribal chief guy. But I hear that the original tribal chief guy might be back around that same time. So,
not my tribal chief.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that this new bloodline took out a walrus, and then I saw Friday where they took out a legend killer. So it's kind of building
the current champion up in the ropes.
Wow, I'm glad you added ropes to that.
Well,
So,
it's not like it was a.
As I'm now pulling up SmackDown and Raw this
this week, dog. We better cover like the last 2 weeks.
Let's just cover Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank I thought was a decent show. The women killed it again, but the men didn't really disappoint either.
Good match.
I know somebody didn't like the ending because God forbid we
not
don't
the only
waste the
one.
briefcase. I understand. We have this briefcase. We need to use it no matter what. It needs to be a part of something. It made sense because theoretically, are you going to have Cody Rhodes or Damian lose to a cash in? Probably not. If Gunther's going to win it at SummerSlam, are you going to have him lose it in a cash in later on? Probably not. So why even have somebody carry the briefcase around when you know damn well there's going to be no cash in? Use it to continue the story. It's just another chink in the armor of Drew McIntyre that he said he was going to win it. He said he was going to cash it in and he was going to be the world champion. Surprise, surprise, CM Punk shows up. He doesn't win the world title, and it pisses him off to the point where he gets suspended. And now it even makes Drew McIntyre, CM Punk even more hostile, more personal. Kind of creates a lot of bad blood between the two.
I see what you did.
So
couldn't you have just had Punk cost him the ladder match?
Then what's the point? Who are you going to put the briefcase on after that? Again, you're going to put the briefcase on somebody to carry it around.
Abel?
For them to carry it around and do
Andrade?
nothing. To carry it around, do nothing with it.
I mean, none of them are doing anything as it is. So
Okay, that you just answered your own question then.
So give them something to do something.
Why do you have to if you have to give somebody a prop to elevate them, as far as a briefcase to elevate them, then something's wrong with the book, with them in general. I would say you're not going to get Carmelo and Camaro.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Carmelo Hayes is gonna. Nobody's gonna come straight from NXT and automatically be in the top picture of either one of the shows. On the men's side, now, granted, on the female side, we saw it with like Kira Valkyrie. She got all the way to the finals of the King of the Ring tournament or Queen of the Ring tournament. That was her coming out party. But she's also been graced with the okay or the thumbs up from Becky Lynch before she even got to the main roster. With Carmelo, he still has to prove himself. He just came out of that feud with LA Knight where he got bitch slapped basically for misspeaking in a promo that LA Knight destroyed him on. And really, you can build him up basically third party or third story on SmackDown and still build him up and not have him carry the briefcase. Just because the briefcase is there doesn't mean we need to see it 9 months out of the year. Hell, for the women's, it's a total flip of what it's been like for the women the last, 3 years? I don't think a single woman's held onto the briefcase for more than a month. They've cashed it in almost immediately. So for the men's to happen, which I think it's only ever been cashed in the same night 2 other times beforehand, which was Kane at the original Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and then Rollins during or was it not Rollins? Dean cashed it in during the Rollins-Roman match in Las Vegas.
You talking on the men's side?
On the men's side, where that Roman lost the title to Seth, who lost the title to Dean. Because remember, that was the night that all 3 members of the Shield held the WWF title at the same time, or WWE title at the same time in Las Vegas. I think they're the only 2 times that the briefcase has been cashed in on the same night on the men's side. So to see it happen a 3rd time and actually fail, okay, it's time. The men's needs to fail more. The women's, it's still getting built to a point. You got to remember, the men's briefcase has like a 4-year advantage on the female one. So keep boosting that up.
80% cash-in rate that's successful.
For the men's, for the women's, it's 100%. The women's, nobody's never lost. Could Tiffy be the first one to lose? Yeah, but it could still elevate her to put her immediately in the main event picture. We've already seen where she attempted to cash in on a house show and failed. So
she almost cashed in this week.
So I don't hate the story because you boosted and you elevated the secondary story on Raw to the point now that they can't wait to beat the hell out of each other. It's gotten so personal between Drew and Punk, between family and costing him championships and everything, that their match should just be straight up brutal when they actually face each other. And I don't mind that one bit.
I don't know. It just felt like a cheap finish to that match.
I mean, you can't put it on LA Knight because LA Knight's going after the United States title. You can't put it on Jay because you know he's going to be interacting into the Bloodline story before the end of the year. So there's no point in him being the Money in the Bank briefcase winner when he's going to be preoccupied with family business. They were the top two besides Drew going in the Money in the Bank to win it. Andrade's kind of been start and stop, start and stop. I don't know if that's because they're waiting on Charlotte to come back and they're going to do something with them two together.
Could it be because
But he's also the speed champion?
Yeah.
And then Mello and Gable. Gable has the whole story going on with the Wyatt Six. And now we saw in the background on Monday night, he was conversing with the Freed brothers and Ivy Nile. That whole story has a story where the briefcase isn't necessary there either. Realistically, if you really break down every single competitor in that, the only liable sense that made was if Drew won the briefcase, challenged like he said he was going to challenge, but then didn't win the match. And you had Punk cost him and Seth now the match, which is funny because I don't understand. Well, we can talk about it here, but I mean, Seth, the botched pinfall kind of, I think, screws everything up for everybody.
Yeah. I forgot what I was listening to, and it was literally said, if they screw up, your job is to count the 3.
But yeah, the rule of thumb is the referee is to count like it's legitimate no matter what. If the wrestler doesn't kick out, and the referee still counts 3, it's 3. It's the pinfall. That's like what was it? Jericho and Pac or Pac, yeah, whatever his name is. Neville in WWE.
Oh, okay.
When they had their match on SmackDown, where Neville breaks his ankle from that slide. Remember, he does the baseball slide. He catches his ankle. He breaks it. The Jericho's doing everything he can to Charles Robinson to get him to disqualify him, and Robinson knows what the finish is and won't disqualify him. And it finally took Jericho to shove him to say, "Hey, he's hurt. Disqualify me." That way, he still got the win. It was just by disqualification, not pinfall.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've all heard the story. We've all made jokes about the story. Where's that referee? He just upped on me. Where we talk about Cody telling his most embarrassing match was him and Ted and Wade Barrett versus, I think it was Ezekiel Jackson, Bryan Danielson, and I forget who else. Where DiBiase just didn't kick out, and the referee counted 1, 2, 3 on a match that was supposed to go 3 segments.
Call me crazy, but what pinfall got botched?
Are you serious?
Seth pinned Damien 1, 2, 3, but right before
Damien never moves at all.
Damien never
whatsoever. Moves. And the ref literally goes 1, 2. Oh shoot, that's not supposed to be the finish.
Yeah.
And then, but the thing is, the only thing I will say about Damien, and I think Bully caught this on Busted Open, Damien's doing this with his hands. Like he got it like a stinger.
Yeah, like he got knocked out or got loopy off of a move that happened prior to it. And it happens.
Oh, he said he's been knocked out plenty of times.
The women's killed it. Even they killed themselves, basically. I mean, Zoe Stark knocked herself out with the ladder.
I thought she broke her ass.
How about she smacked her head with the ladder when she come up over the top? They full sent it. And really up until the very end of it, though, you couldn't have told me if you would have paused that like 3 minutes.
I thought Io was dead.
If you would have paused that match 3 minutes before the finish and said, "Hey, who's winning this match?" I don't think anybody could have picked the Tiffy was still going to win it. I know we were watching it with the ones they thought her nose was broke. They thought maybe she was in a lot of trouble. I did see the spot where she did the moonsault outside, and Zoe looks at her and says, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
That could also be because Zoe was knocked out and she was making sure she was okay.
It seems like every ladder match or Money in the Bank match we get or pay-per-view, to my knowledge, and I've gone back the last couple years thinking about it, the women have been the better match. Not even close.
Is it just because it's the men's are so watered down because we've seen it a million times now, though? And
I think the
women's is
women
new?
kill each other more.
I think it's the women are willing. I think the men know the risk, and that's why they don't go all out on it. And the women are still trying to like. I don't want to say this in a derogatory way, but they're still trying to prove themselves
Test the waters.
to people, and they're willing to go all out to put together the best match possible. And
Maybe they're just more
or,
crazy.
attaboy to. Well, I mean, they are women, so crazy is in their genetics. But attaboy to both matches. I mean, we're a week out and they didn't have any serious injuries whatsoever. You have one little ladder match like that on AEW, and there's a guy with a broke ankle, twisted knee,
Pieces
that kind of
glass
thing.
that you pulled out of their ass.
Yeah, ankles are broke, faces are broke. They can't. So,
Third degree
um,
burns.
So
But
back
it was-
to Money in the Bank because other stuff did happen. We talked about the women. We talked about the men. Sami Zayn kind of shocked everybody.
yeah,
beating
I-
Braun Breaker.
yeah, it caught everybody off guard just because everybody expected him to get massacred.
I thought we were gonna see a murder. Yeah.
I mean, he still
he-
got massacred. He's just won.
I mean, Braun with the heads up move and almost saved Sammy from breaking his neck on the moonsault outside was a good catch by
Off the
Braun.
barricade.
Yeah. That kid is so quick and so agile. That video. Have you guys seen the video from Monday night with him
Which part?
where he's walking out of the ring with Pierce and he's in the hallway and he like distracts Pierce and takes off running and he runs with so much force that when he gets to the far turnbuckle, he plants his hand into the mat or the ringside mat to help himself keep his momentum and turn and not fall over his feet to make sure he spears into the corner. It was so impressive. It's becoming fun watching him more and more. I can't wait to see more Braun Breaker. Sounds like they're setting up Braun and Sammy again at SummerSlam, possibly with Ilya Dragunov because he's boring as hell.
Pin.
So I think if you're gonna make it a staple, I think if you're gonna make Braun the guy for the Intercontinental title, I think you have to pin Sammy.
Oh really?
Not Ilya. I think you have to pin the champion in this aspect. I know Monday night they're supposed to have an Intercontinental title match between Sammy and Ilyanov. Who cares? I don't really. I think Braun will
Breaker's
destroy.
gonna mess that.
I think
match
Braun.
up.
Yeah, I think Braun's gonna destroy both of them. What
Talk
have you
about-
guys seen with the Wyatt Six? Anything new?
Another video Monday
Just the
night.
tapes that we get every Monday night.
So we've seen it. We've seen the interview with Bo. I'm gonna take it he's still Bo Dallas. Maybe he's now just Taylor. Not really sure. They never said his name on broadcast when he
Well,
was in.
that is a
Pierce's
fair
office,
point.
did
Are
they?
we still at Money in the Bank or are we going to Raw?
I think we're just all over at this point. I mean,
I'm
we're
just
not-
trying to
I'm-
keep some sort of.
Well, let's talk about this, and we'll go to the main part that we all want to talk about, which is Bloodline, the new legacy. But it doesn't seem like they didn't give him his name on Monday night when he was in Pierce's office. And what the hell is he doing in Pierce's office?
The look
Yeah.
look that he gives Pierce and just like a horror movie, just door shuts.
And I'm kind of curious. It sounds like we're gonna get interviews, like there's interview tapes from every individual member, which could be really good. I've heard that the Rowan one is supposed to be this Monday night, so that one might get into people's feels a little bit. If they're all gonna go, what it sounds like to me, like he's like releasing it's almost like what is that movie? Was it 13 Ghosts? Is that the one when in the house and downstairs is like a whole bunch of
all the
different
different
types of
ghosts.
ghosts? Yeah. it almost has that feel to it because he says, "I'm gonna let them all free and let them go do their own. They're all gonna go do their own thing." It's what it sounds like. It would be really, really, really cool. And my thoughts is if Rowan goes after Strowman, not to put him not to get him to come to the group type
Just
deal.
to feud with him.
Well, no, well, yeah, to feud with him, but to be that Braun's supposed to be the black sheep of the Wyatt family, but he garnered more success than any other member of the Wyatt family. So have Rowan go after Strowman because Strowman left the family behind and was more successful. That would be cool. I think it would be fun to watch. Is those two going at it in a feud? I want Strowman more involved in a feud that doesn't involve Miz and R-Truth because then he becomes just a sideshow to the comedy act.
That does leave that does kind of leave an open hole though for the other two too, because one of them obviously has a connection with DIY.
True. Oh, you mean the new WWE Tag Team Champions DIY?
Yeah, those guys.
That was one of the most fun matches I've watched on SmackDown in a long time. Like I think everybody I saw was invested in that match just to see DIY win the tag titles. And then of course this week they get absolutely destroyed by Jacob Fatu, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot they're the tag champs. Let's go to the main event of Money in the Bank and kind of the main event story of the whole thing. You had Cody, Randy, and KO versus the makeshift bloodline or the revamped bloodline, however you want to put it.
And it wasn't both Tongas either. It was Jacob.
It was Jacob and Tama. I kind of had it going into this that I thought the bloodline was going to win just to build the SummerSlam because we're going to get, as we know now, we're getting Cody.
Is that who you picked?
Yes. Because we're getting Cody versus Solo at SummerSlam. A nasty spot outside where Tonga Loa bangs his head off of the announce table
backwards.
You could tell he knocked himself out because then he has a spot in the ring to give KO a low blow and he totally misses it and punches his brother in the head, and then he hits KO with the low blow, but you could tell he was not all there.
The way he was trying to feel himself out, and he ends up crawling around the table to Corey Graves.
The way he hit the table and instantly postured up, I'm like, he knocked himself out.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I know it's a couple weeks ago, but do we think the Walrus is okay?
Yeah, Paul's
fine. I think the Walrus is just fine. And last time I saw, he was doing a speak at a meeting of a council thing.
Because he hit kind of awkward when he took that bump.
No, I went back. You said that. I went back and watched. The bump was clean.
Okay, I just thought
it was the chair at the end of it.
No, it was him selling the slide on the table to roll over is what looks awkward. But as far as
he snapped hard, that's all.
As far as the spot goes, he landed almost completely flat. I love that they used Jacob the way they did. I mean, his first interaction in the ring in a match, he gets dropped with Orton's DDT from the middle rope, and he pops right back up. And it's like, all right, he's Samoan. That's not supposed to hurt, so that makes sense.
But Randy's face.
Whole werewolf thing that he's supposed to be.
Yeah, Randy's face for that was very exciting. It was very like, oh shit.
Well, yeah, you're laying on the ground and he's standing above you, going, "What are you doing?"
The match was what the match was. You kind of see that they protected Cody a lot in that match until the end. I think you would agree with me on that. It was a lot of Randy and KO, and then it was Cody at the end.
And he ends up beating the
By the way, from us here at Wrestling with Nerds, thoughts and prayers to KO and his family with his mother's situation. I know
we
what
heard, is she getting
that's
better?
like. I have not heard any updates. He was not on SmackDown. He's probably not going to divulge that information.
I'm surprised he
Um,
went as far as he did.
Yeah, so a shout out there. Yeah, so
What'd
I
you
don't
think
know
of
what
Trish
else you got.
hosting?
It's Trish. She could walk out in a burlap sack, and
This
I'm gonna
was
be
like the first
happy.
time in a long time that they did national anthems at the beginning of a pay-per-view.
Had a host at a non-WrestleMania event.
Well, they never do the national anthems at WrestleMania anyway.
I don't know about you, but I don't think we were supposed to see that part.
There
If
was
you
definitely audio. Something was
yeah,
off.
if you remember, we could hear the arena.
Oh, introducing the
Yeah,
When they
announcers.
introduced
And...
Michael Cole,
over-
which, you know, we've been
uh,
there, we know they do that.
over top of the pre-show stuff, and I
It's
I
like
don't know if
somebody
we were
was
actually
leaning
supposed
on
to see-
something in the truck.
It's like once they gave us that part, they're like, "We'll just give them everything now." So let's give them the national anthem and all that good stuff.
Yeah, but they don't normally do that anyway. Granted, I don't know what they do above.
They do when they go to Canada. When they go to Canada,
By the
they
way,
do it.
anybody else thought it was hilarious when I think it was Drew was like, "How the hell did you even get into Canada?" To Jay,
Yeah.
that was great.
Jay made the first joke on SmackDown about "Thanks for letting me in, guys."
Right. And then I think he comes out and he's like, "How did you get in anyway?" Like,
My favorite thing from Jay right now is
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. They can have the fireflies back. I'll take the mosquitoes or something. I don't care.
lights go out,
Okay,
he looks at the
what is it?
camera, yeet, and cartoonish, gone.
Yeah. The I think you're gonna get pickup on the Bloodline feud at SummerSlam. I think you're gonna get Roman Reigns returning at the end of SummerSlam. I hope that, like I said before, I hope that when he comes back, they kind of do the old Judgment Day entrance where, like, Jimmy is the first one that steps through the light, and then, and then Heyman steps through the light, and then you get Roman. I think that'll be a bigger explosion.
Brian?
I know there's rumors. I'm looking in the chat.
Okay. Just check.
I know that there's plenty of rumors with Zila and all that kind of stuff, but that's not necessary for SummerSlam. You don't need him showing up yet. If you paid attention, they individually bring these guys in. They're not bringing them all in at one time. So I think what you're going to do is they're going to flip it, and how this new bloodline has been bringing guys in and getting that one-upsmanship. I think from here till Survivor Series, you're going to have Roman doing that and getting the one-ups until we get to like the week before Survivor Series. And then that's when Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa's much taller brother will show up, and that'll give you your 5-on-5. I still think the smart move, if you're going to bring Zila in, okay, fine. He's 4 members of the bloodline. The 5th member of Roman's team needs to be The Rock. And the more and more I thought about this, the more
Not
we've
the
had that
redhead from
discussion.
Canada?
No, because we've had this discussion before. Every time there's a War Games, there's that one rule in War Games. You remember what rule I'm talking about?
Can't escape the cage. Or
If you escape
instant
the
loss.
yeah, if you escape the cage, you're forfeiting the match for your team. Would it not be cool if you just think about this? Don't make it predictable.
People would be pissed.
Exactly. That's what you need. You need to, if you have Roman and Rock align themselves as faces at the beginning of this run, go into Survivor Series with Rock on Roman's team. Rock is the last guy in the ring. Roman's team is laid all out. Rock comes into the ring, looks around, gives Solo a hug, looks over at Roman, and steps back out the door to the floor to get to forfeit the match. Number one, you build up all this anticipation for Roman and Rock to be faces, only for it to find out that Rock has been the guy leading Solo the entire time because Roman couldn't cut it and couldn't beat Cody again. So it sets up Solo versus Roman at Royal Rumble, that then sets up Roman versus Rock for WrestleMania. And you have the head of the table against the whatever. Rock has a moniker as well through the Samoan culture. I can't remember what it is, but it's the battle. It's for the head of the table. It's Rock versus Roman.
You mean he wouldn't be the?
Oh, he would be the final boss. That's probably what they'll go with. But the final boss versus the head of the table at WrestleMania, with Roman going on in as the face, with the amount of heat that Rock would garner from Survivor Series to Mania, would be almost like Conor McGregor going into a UFC fight where he's badmouthed the city that he's fighting in and everything for the whole time. So it makes sense to me to build up as much heat on The Rock as humanly possible, and turning on Roman at Survivor Series would do that.
Would you
Just
get the,
my opinion.
Would you get the same heat if that match continues and while The Rock is in there, just rock bottoms Roman and let Solo pin him? Because I'd rather see that than him walk out.
Yeah,
well,
but
he can step out, cost him the match, and then get back in and beat on him.
It's more of a slap in the face that you basically you're not even you don't want Solo to get two ups on Roman going to Royal Rumble. So if Rock is the one that costs the match instead of Solo beating Roman, then that puts the heat on Rock. If Solo beats Roman, then the heat goes to Solo. You want all of the amount of heat to go on Rock. You want almost like hostile takeover, Hulk Hogan joining the NWO heat on Rock. You have him cost Roman the match by not even touching anybody. But like T just said, he could step out, get disqualified, and then lock the cage and beat the shit out of Roman the whole time. That could also be where you get the debut of Zila. Don't know. But that's how, if I was booking, that's how one way I would look at booking. I think you would get as much heat as humanly possible on The Rock if you have a turn on Roman at War Games. Man, I don't feel good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Being in New York last weekend, I'm still hurt.
But it's fun. It's gonna be fun. I mean, this year alone already, and we're at the halfway point of the year. Basically, tomorrow, I guess, would be July 15th. It has been the most fun first half of a year that I can remember in the 2000s.
Not just because you went to Mania?
No. Just the build of stories is so much more fun than they've been in the last 20 years. That it's actually fun to. There's a long time where you could miss a show, miss a couple of weeks, and turn back in and be like, oh, yeah, it's this guy wrestling this guy for the 15th time.
So you're saying it's been a successful new era?
Oh, yeah, this Triple H era is head and shoulders better than Vince's. But you got to remember, he's still learning on the fly on what stuff works and what stuff doesn't work. So sometimes stuff's not going to work. And he'll note that down in his little book, and he'll know.
And they'll make a documentary about it that we all enjoyed the hell out of.
This needs a little bit more tweaking.
I think it needed to be longer.
I think it would have been more fun if it was more than just the main event match, but that's just me. But I'm looking forward to the build. I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. I'm looking forward now more that I'm going, but I'm looking forward to being able to go and continue the story of our journey for this year. Is kind of fun by going to SummerSlam. So I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think we get any surprise returns at SummerSlam?
I think at the end of it, you might get Roman.
From what I've heard, is she's not coming back till the very end of the year, beginning of next year, possibly the Royal.
Damn it, Wade.
Sorry, she just started training.
She was training with Cora Jade, which
It's Cleveland. She lives like right there.
No, she's from right there.
doesn't mean she lives right there. So,
Well, no, she's in Florida. We all know that from Larry Steve.
so Raw, the ending of Raw, very much thought Dominic was going in for some lovin's, and hold on.
Anybody else feel like they botched the timing of that whole thing?
Not really.
I mean, it definitely felt like they were a minute or two off.
No,
I thought we should have got more time with Rhea in the ring.
If you've paid attention,
Even 30 seconds.
If you've paid attention any in the last month and a half, Triple H has made it so that when his show is over, there's more to go watch. That way you tune into online
YouTubes and
the socials and all that kind of stuff.
I thought Dom was
there's more on the internet of
I saw some
Rhea and Dom going up the aisle, but that's why they did it that way.
This is my brutality.
And there go my eardrums.
That doesn't help the headache, my man.
Well, you just said you didn't feel good. You didn't tell me you had a headache. This is the
I
part
will,
where TJ hits right to censor.
I'll say that when Damian made the comment of that he had I have a surprise for Dom and he'll find out about it later.
I knew.
Back.
Oh yeah,
I knew.
Rhea's back.
That was almost as telegraphing that we were gonna get Joe Hendry on Tuesday.
Dude, he's been teasing.
Do you realize he is on the WWE website as under the NXT roster now?
How does that work? Is he signed with TNA?
I don't know. By the way, NXT by far over the Money in the Bank weekend had the best show.
Oh yeah,
it always does. That's always does.
Do you
Mania
know
weekend? Not so much.
I don't know. I mean, you can't really compare Mania to NXT, but out of the 3 shows in that arena that weekend, it was the best show.
What, at the Wells Fargo?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was a PLE where the other ones were just live shows.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, you really can't compare their PLE to WrestleMania, so you'd have to compare it to SmackDown and Raw, and their show is by far better.
Yeah.
But the one that I
think you're living
the one that I am becoming more and more of a fan of, that I was already starting to become a fan of at WrestleMania.
Obi Femi.
That
dude is money.
Oh, his F10 on Wes Lee was
he got up
insane. I'm looking forward. I want him to drop that title as fast as possible, just to be in the world title picture in NXT, because he belongs
there. The North American women's match.
It was very good.
Very good.
I very, very good. I kind of laugh because as much as I love to shit on Dave Meltzer, any chance that I get, the internet took care of that for me. There's a spot in that match that's literally a carbon copy of a Ricochet Ospreay match from Japan. When she does the walking on the hands cartwheel thing and the moonsault and everything, it's like spot for spot exactly the same. And he referred to it as a gymnastics display hidden as a wrestling match, and didn't like it. But if it's Ospreay and it's Ricochet, it gets 58,000 stars in the Tokyo Dome. Dave Meltzer, I promise you this, and I say this every night before I go to bed when I pray. And I know we're not allowed to really say them anymore, but this is the one time I'm saying it. Fuck Dave Meltzer. You are pathetic because you can't compare yourself, the women to the men. I bet if they had a Japanese name, it would have been the greatest thing ever, because you love the Japanese women and their wrestling abilities are so far greater than any American wrestling woman. But I bet if the women in Japan would have done it, you would have goo goo gaga all over that and thought it was the greatest thing ever. So kiss
No,
my ass, Dave
Ryan,
Meltzer.
question about that dumb fuck. I mean, oh shit, sorry, damn. Was he? Did he ever have a decent opinion and lost touch, or was he always crappy opinion?
If it was anything that was successful that wasn't exactly pure wrestling, he never liked it. So, and like I've heard many others say, he's never taken a bump ever. If he did, it was in a training session and he never went farther than it. But if it's not,
Oh, that kind of bump. Gotcha.
if it's not, well, he's probably done the other bumps. I probably did a lot of the booger sugar bumps. But if it's not, I mean, he hates Hulk Hogan with a passion. He despises everything Hulk Hogan did.
Is that because he's a racist?
No, well, it's amazing. We learned this past yesterday. We're gonna get into that when we get into the battle here.
Please do.
But if it was Hulk Hogan, it was all for show. It was just to get the kids riled up and get the kids pumped and get the merchandise throwing through the roof, all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't real wrestling. The Meltzer, it's not about the money that gets brought in and drawn and everything. That's not what Dave Meltzer's about. Dave Meltzer's about gymnastics hidden as a wrestling match. As long as it's two men. If it's women, he's totally against it. But he's totally for the two men playing gymnastics and hiding it as a wrestling match. Or he's
misogynist, sexist,
gay. I mean, maybe he's more like Vince than what people think he is.
Why does he have coworkers?
Why?
He makes it sound like he does everything himself.
No, he's got his trolls. He's like Littlefinger and Various from Game of Thrones.
Which, speaking of that, new episode is live now, so come on, PayPal.
He has his little bird that he has his birds, which is why your boy Dijak got fired, because he was one that would go to the dirt sheets and tell them stuff that was going on backstage.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I very much unfollowed Dijak after that. And it hurt me to do it, but
so he has his little birds that'll tell him what he wants to hear, especially when they're in the back doing absolutely nothing. They're gonna bash anything that's actually working, because anybody that's in the wrestling will tell you, if I'm not doing it, it's not good. But on to the battle. Let's get to the battle. Let's get to the battle. So we just finished April, correct?
We're doing April.
So we just finished March.
Yes. We know I am 2-0.
Well, I mean, it's really hard to compete with March.
How are you 2-0 if there's been 3 months?
Because I haven't announced the winner of March yet.
Oh, I thought you did.
Well, I mean, it's hard to beat WrestleMania month, so WWF wins again.
I thought that's what we said. Like, I thought we had already agreed on that when my go home show for a PLE is a pool ring floating over a pool, and Kevin Sullivan or some jobber.
Hard Body Harrison, redacted too.
Like I said.
We did agree to that, but it just wasn't made official till now. But yes, WWF now has a 3-0 lead, and how do they lose in the ratings is beyond me, because the month of March in the WCW sucked. Like, the show itself sucked.
I mean, once they got the new Tron and started really getting ready for Mania and the fallout from Mania, I thought it was good. The first 2.5 weeks sucked.
I agree.
April's not that great. There's only literally two feuds.
Well, let's see what I mean. You got to remember, this is you're in April, so you're in the hangover from WrestleMania.
The In Your House 14 Revenge of the Taker.
Is that your pay-per-view for April?
That's my pay-per-view.
TJ, what's yours again?
Spring Stampede.
Spring Stampede, and that starts your month off, doesn't it?
April
Let's
6th.
get there. Let's go.
Let's not take 2 hours for this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Spring Stampede.
The good thing is I watched all the Nitros with him, so I can help speed it along.
I mean, some of them you ain't gonna have to help. There wasn't much to fucking cover.
Hey.
Anyway,
Trying to get sponsorship here.
It's like a PG-13 movie. I'm allowed one.
TJ, what was the most famous line from Spring Stampede? Do you remember?
Yeah. Am I allowed to say that? Okay.
Well, no. Say the dubbed version that the network has.
Oh, okay. Hogan, we coming for you, sucker.
Yeah, this is the Spring Stampede that has the famous Booker T line. And we went back and watched it, and it dubbed over, and it says "sucker."
And you could read
Instead
it.
Oh, you can clearly read his lips. You know what he says.
He knows what he says. He's like, oh my God.
Yeah, like he looks
and
at
Sherry's like, it's
just
okay,
smile
baby.
at the camera, smile at the camera, baby, smile at the camera.
What's worse, that or Vince doing it?
Vince.
Is that even a question?
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Vince for sure.
Vince having an ECW title run.
Oh, so we find out Spring Stampede supposed to be a match for the tag title belts again. No Scott Hall. This is a theme we're gonna see for a good chunk of the month. That Hall is AWOL. And I asked Fry. Fry doesn't know. Fry doesn't know where Hall was. No one knows where Hall was except Hall and probably Nash.
This was during that time period where Hall was having marital issues.
Did he lose his
drinking. Smile? No, I don't think he lost his smile here. But it's just one of those times where he was fighting with people in WCW and
so
that kind of stuff.
We get a little backstage thing where they have a couple opening matches, and honestly, that's like nobody even cares. The announcers don't even hardly care. In fact, literally middle of one of the matches, Lee Marshall cuts in trying to get an interview with Nash about he has a demand because NWO won the thing. They can make demands about title matches. That because there's no Scott Hall, Nash will still have the match, but he wants Nick Patrick to ref. And then as they're saying all this, he spits in Scott Steiner's face, which you could imagine if you spit in Braun Breaker's face, what would happen to you? Well, yeah, Scott kind of goes, apeshit, and tries to get to him and shoves an official and ends up getting pepper sprayed, tackled, and handcuffed. So goodbye, Scott Steiner, for the night. It's now a one-on-one battle for the tag belts. Okay. Trying to find that. I have it here. Save the website. I was gonna just run through the matches real quick.
We got Ray beats Ultimo Dragon with a springboard Hurricanrana.
Which Fry, remember I was talking to you about this. Remember what happens in 2 episodes on Nitro?
Yes.
Remember that first match that Ray wins against Ultimo Dragon.
For one of the only, I think his title only gets defended in WCW like 4 or 5 times. WCW Women's Champion Akira Rokahu pins Medusa when Luna Vachon debuts in WCW and interferes. Lord Steven Regal loses to Prince Iaukea, who is the TV champion.
I've been calling Prince Ikea.
Yeah. Public Enemy beats Jeff Jarrett and Steve Mongo McMichael when Johnny Grunge pins Jarrett.
Somehow they end up with the Halliburton and whack Jarrett with the Halliburton. Not real sure how.
And a really, really good match with a really, really bizarre finish.
I cover that in my notes.
Dean Malenko fought Chris Benoit to a no contest.
It's not Chris Benoit's redacted.
Yeah. Arn Anderson attacks Malenko and both men battling on the floor. Sullivan appears. Guerrero appears, but the Dungeon of Doom give Guerrero the U.S. title and telling him to.
Well, so Jacqueline and Jimmy Hart come out, Jimmy tries to steal the belt. Eddie comes out in a sling, is like, nah, you ain't stealing that. Meanwhile, Jacqueline's beating on Woman. They go back. Arn comes out, hits Dean, throws Dean back in the ring, throws up the 4. You think Redacted's about to win, and Sullivan walks by him, and Arn's like, just go. And Sullivan has like a kendo stick thing, and
it's
bashes
a very dusty finish. Very dusty finish.
Sullivan bashes Redacted in the back of the head.
Nash beats Rick Steiner in their one-on-one match. Steiner hits his ear off of an exposed turnbuckle, and it kind of creates the knockout thing.
There's a big thing with that. DiBiase,
Nick Patrick, and DiBiase both want them
kind of get disgusted because it's like 4 exposed turnbuckle shots on Steiner.
Yeah,
and Nash is like later. Full sending.
We'll see later on with Nick Patrick how that plays out for him. It's a 4 corners match. It's Lex Luger, the Giant, Booker T, and Stevie Ray. The winner gets a shot at Hogan later in the year, guys. So at some point in the rest of the year, they're gonna get a shot at Hogan.
Open-ended.
And this is where you get to see kind of.
Wasn't the Giant already entitled to a match from winning something right at the end of right before we picked up? He won some.
What was the main event of Sold Out? Hulk Hogan versus the Giant.
That was that one?
That was that.
Match.
Okay. The Giant showing that he's WCW and he's 100% behind Lex Luger, has both the Harlem Heat beat, but tags Luger in for Luger to get the rack on, I think, Stevie to get the win. So Luger gets the title shot later on this year.
The big other note from the pay-per-view I had that there was no match about is Flair cuts a promo that he's apparently about to be able to wrestle again. They don't mention the name of the pay-per-view at the time. I believe it's Slamboree. We find out in like a Nitro. They don't mention it on this pay-per-view.
Yeah, May pay-per-view was always
the May 18th pay-per-view at Slamboree that Kevin Green of the Carolina Panthers has been released by the Panthers to be able to come wrestle with the Horsemen.
Yeah.
And Flair.
Or is that gimmick?
No, like Kevin, everything we will see from Kevin Green this month looks solid. He's not the only NFL star either, other than Mongo getting involved.
I'll clearly tell you this now. If Kevin Green, once he retired from football, decided he wanted to wrestle back then, he could have got in the ring, wrestled, and been more legit than Goldberg. Like he has every characteristic of Goldberg, just with about 150% more charisma. Kevin Green in the wrestling ring was fun to watch. If he wouldn't have took up coaching, or if WCW wouldn't have closed, he could have went down there. He spent time in the power plant, and was a very, very good wrestler. R.I.P. I forgot he passed away. But the main event for Spring Stampede is actually one of my all-time favorite WCW matches. It's Randy Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page. And TJ's favorite part of this was Liz and Kimberly.
Dude, the best part of that whole build from last month of getting Kimberly involved, because she is a gorgeous woman. And she now is going to accompany DDP anytime we see him, and I'm good with it. No complaints.
Yeah. So, they have a no disqualification match. It goes 15 minutes. And
they beat the hell out of you. You think that ladder match was rough?
The elbow drops that Savage drops on Page is like, there's no contact with the ring on the elbow drops. It's full on Page. Page has got a big old goose egg above his eye. I think he's even busted open on that eyebrow. Back and forth. This is the famous match that where when Page talks about Savage, when he talks about they were in the back, they were in the back talking about what we wanted to do tonight.
I'm gonna hit the diamond cutter.
Yeah, I think I want to take the cutter, and it was like, huh? this is that match. You have Nick Patrick come out and you think, oh, this is going to be an NWO schmoz. Page reverses body slam, I think it is, flips it around, hits the diamond cutter, and really Nick Patrick has no choice but to count the 1, 2, 3. But he doesn't hesitate to count the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
by then by this time the rest of the NWO is out, and Nash power bombs the shit out of Nick Patrick. So Patrick is out of the NWO. They beat up. Savage grabs a hold of Kimberly and is gonna slap her, and
Bischoff gets in the middle of it. Like, no.
And then Bischoff gets slapped by Randy, and Randy and Bischoff are going at it, and the show goes off the air with the NWO feuding with
themselves.
So it was quite
no
interesting.
Hogan. Half of the MWO missing. No Hall.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan is in Hollywood for a big premiere of Dennis Rodman's movie Double Team with Jean-Claude Van Damme. So, all right.
Do we want to mention that, the skin color and whatever preferences of Dennis Rodman, because Hogan's such a racist.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. Yeah, it's funny. You're gonna see this through the trend throughout the month. Hogan gets referred to as, oh, he was such a racist. He's a racist. He's a racist. There's a lot of videos of this month, and Hulk Hogan's hanging out with Dennis Rodman, Grace Jones. He's hanging out at the premiere party with 2 beautiful women of a different color. And I mean, if he was racist, would he be doing that? I mean, I'm being sarcastic because I think it's a joke anyway, but I mean, doesn't seem like that way to me, bro.
He's a real good friend with Tiny Blister, real good friend with Mr. T.
Can I say bro? Am I allowed to say bro? Bro?
Bruh. You can definitely, bruh.
Bruh.
That's definitely a white Gen Zer thing, bruh.
All right. So let's go to the first Monday night of April 1997.
Night after Spring Stampede.
Let's jump over to AJ.
Oh, okay.
Give you a minute to collect your thoughts.
Started off with Owen and Bulldog defeating the Godwins to retain their WWF championships.
So this is April 7th?
April 7th from Muncie,
Indiana. Okay.
And they're talking about that they're going to Johannesburg,
South Africa.
Johannesburg. Next week, they're mentioning that they're also going to be in Kuwait, which I can't wait to talk about that episode because there's a certain thing that pops up the minute you click on the video saying, "Hey, the audio is messed up. We know, can't fix it. Sorry." But second match is Steve Austin defeating Rockabilly, which it's Billy Gunn, which I'm really surprised that they ended up putting them two together after Billy Gunn socked the Honky Tonk Man. No. Was it like, hey, I just wanted to hit you so I could show you how much I'm into this? But yeah, so he turns into Rockabilly, and now he's got a manager with the Honky Tonk Man. The Headbangers, Mosh and Thrash defeat Freddie and Joe. Freddie, Joe Floyd.
No, he beat Freddie, Joe Floyd, and Barry Horowitz.
You want to help me out with this match? Because
well, Freddie Joe Floyd is Tracy Smothers. He's a really good wrestler. Wrestled in ECW, wrestled in WCW. They gave him the name Freddie Joe Floyd because that's the Briscoe brothers' names. One Briscoe is Fred, the other one is Joe. The real last name is Floyd. It's Freddie Joe Floyd. Don't know why they gave it to him, but they gave it to him. The Headbangers.
I'm really not a fan of them. I do like them screwing with Sonny. Thought that was funny later in the month.
That's because they wear dresses and you don't like that.
They're not dresses.
They're kilts.
No, they have a T-shirt that they come out with that says "Real men wear dresses."
Do they really? I must have missed that.
It's coming.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It's coming. But yeah, this is just
It's a
you get
throwaway match.
Shamrock. Yeah.
This Shamrock match, they literally had a UFC match in a WWF ring, and Vernon catches Ken Shamrock just a little bit, and Ken puts the dude down.
Yeah.
Like 12-year-old puppy, a sick puppy, down.
Well, apparently this Vernon White that he faces is from his school. And they promote these UFC type fights as lion den matches. Because that's was the name of Shamrock's wrestling school was the Lion's Den.
Okay.
Um this is the way to just build this is basically old way of feeding him jobbers and making him look good before he actually does something on TV.
Yeah. Then Vader destroying a jobber.
Yeah, you know you're a jobber when your name's Frank Stiletto.
But the match of the night, mostly because everybody gets involved in this match. Stone Cold again versus Mankind. Vader gets involved, which he's on at ringside, so that's already gonna happen. But then he's also feuding with the Hart family. So through the crowd, Owen and Bulldog come out, and who meets them at ringside? Only one of the best tag teams ever. It's LOD, and it just blows up from there, and the ref just throws out the whole match and just lets them go at it. Oh, what'd you find, Ryan?
Nothing. Nothing. You're good. Yeah, I mean this is the start of things. Let's. Is that all you got for the 7th?
I thought it was solid. Granted, you had a couple throwaway matches, but you're bringing Ken Shamrock to everybody at home who didn't know who he was. You're still building Steve Austin versus everybody, and then the Hart family is trying to kill Steve Austin. We did miss the Undertaker.
Yeah, so let's go. April 7th, 1997, WCW is in Huntsville, Alabama. It's the Von Braun Civic Center. They recap the ending conclusion of Spring Stampede. They just go over everything. This is typical night after a pay-per-view type deal where it'll be freeze framed so you can, or they'll video it to a point and then it's freeze framed so you can't see the finish or any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to kind of help you through this a little bit, TJ. NWO limo pulls up and only Hogan, Bischoff,
Virgil,
Vincent, and DiBiase get out of the limo. And Hogan makes the comments about handling business and cutting, like if they're not into it, they're out type deal. Kind of what it sounds like. If they're not all in.
Who's that referring to?
The rest of the
I think it's referring to, you kind of get it. There's kind of a divide in the NWO at this point. And it's kind of funny because it goes a whole nother year before it actually splits. But you have Hogan on one side and you have Savage and Nash on the other side, where they're kind of feuding with each other a little bit. And I think it's more because Hogan's not around and Nash has kind of been in charge, and Savage is just a loose cannon, so he does what he wants to do anyway.
Then we get a match.
Yeah, there's not much match early. You get Conan and Hugh Morris beat Alex Wright in Psychosis. It's just a throwaway match. DDP arrives to the arena. He's got ice on his shoulder. He's got a black eye. He's telling the camera to get out of his face. You think I look bad? You haven't seen Savage yet.
We get Rey Mysterio defeating Lord Steven Regal by DQ. Mostly because Regal wouldn't release the hold he had on him.
Yeah, and then he ends up, Prince Iaukea comes out to kind of cut this
Save
off,
Rey.
and he gets put into the Regal stretch, and it messes his ribs up. and he has to defend the TV title later tonight
against
Ultimo
Ultimo
Dragon.
Dragon, who Ray just beat the night before.
Yeah.
The guy that just lost to the guy that's fighting this guy is getting a title match. Makes sense, right? Yeah, no.
So in the process of that match occurring, the second limo shows up for the NWO.
With
and
like
it has
the rest
Savage.
of them.
Yeah, it has Savage and Crutches with Liz, Six,
Buff,
Buff, the fake Sting, Nash, Michael Wall Street.
Who's the other guy? There's one other guy with them, a bigger dude.
Scott Flash Norton. He's big in Japan. Benoit beats Ice Train with a really nice, solid DDT. Quick match, only goes 3 minutes.
Kevin Sullivan kills
there's a
Eddie's
huge
brother.
There's a huge argument going on in the backstage between Hogan and what appears to be Nash, but then it also appears that he's arguing with Macho. So you're not really sure about which one he's arguing with about, if you're in this, you're in this. This isn't, or are we going to have to settle this amongst ourselves? Hogan even makes a threatening challenge towards Nash. He's like, I'll even have to take on you, big man. I'll do it. Dean Malenko pins Jericho. It's really awkward finish. Jericho gets his face rammed into the turnbuckle, and he's grabbing his nose like it's broke. And Dean pins him, or Dean goes to check on him, and then kicks him in the face and pins him. It was a really, really weird finish. The Junior Steiner brothers beat Public Enemy again. There's a tag team. They're called High Voltage. It's Robbie Rage and Kenny Chaos. They look like a smaller version of the Steiner brothers, legitimately. I think the Public Enemy challenges them to the next week. They're in Philadelphia to a Philadelphia street fight, and that they're going to have to get extreme. Public Enemy came from ECW. It made sense. Harlem Heat beat Jarrett and McMichael because McMichael didn't show up. And then Ultimo Dragon beats Prince Ikea, which had TJ flustered because Ultimo Dragon loses on the pay-per-view, but wins the TV title the very next night.
And then Regal, who just lost via DQ, is the number one contender.
But this is the best part, guys. This is how WCW finishes a show. You ready for this? They've brought up that it was going to be the Giant versus Scott Steiner at the beginning of the show. The Giant comes out, Scott Steiner comes out, and gets blindsided by Hugh Morris and Conan. The Giant then helps Scott Steiner, and they shake hands. The Giant gives him a chokeslam symbol in the air, and they both walk to the back. And that was the main event for that Nitro.
That's not how we close the night, though.
No, it's not. How do we close the night out, TJ?
We do get, there's that whole NWO promo in the ring where they solve their shit. Randy and Bischoff agree that they're on probation with each other. And Nash says he respects Hogan. Doesn't necessarily have to like him. We get Flair, Piper, and Kevin Green cutting more promos about a pay-per-view a month away. And then we get the end of the night. DDP gets jumped, and
he calls out Savage. Savage comes out, but then Hogan cuts him off and says, "I'll take this one." And just before Hogan gets in the ring,
no, not Batman.
Throws DDP a bat, and we're off to the races.
We've both got bats now.
Yeah,
Batman.
So, all right. April 14th, 1997 was actually on April 9th in Johannesburg, South Africa.
But they went back and forth. There was the Johannesburg, South Africa, and there was also Raw in the States. Like I said, they went back and forth with. The first match, Godwin's defeat LOD I think one of the Godwins gets hurt in this match, and I can't remember which one.
If this is the correct match, this is the one where Henry Godwin gets dropped on his head with the Doomsday device. If I'm not mistaken, they go to I want to see Demolition. LOD's finishing move. They put him up on their shoulders, clotheslines him off. Well, he doesn't fully flip over, and he lands on the top of his head and breaks his neck.
Oh,
yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
It just gave me tingles. This next match, Triple H with China defeating Road Dogg or Jesse James. This was a very good match between the two of them. Like, for a very good portion of the match, I thought it was going to be Jesse James winning it and beating Triple H. Or he's not Triple H yet, but you know what I mean. Until China does a little, woohoo. And then, out of nowhere, boom, pedigree, match over. So somebody who we haven't seen, actually both of them we haven't seen in a little while, Savio Vega with Crush defeating Rocky Maivia. I think this is the part of the Rock's downturn, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, they're starting to not like the blue chipper.
Yeah,
so to speak. This is the Rocky die chants are starting.
Which I was gonna say, I think we're gonna start getting those because they're not high on him in 2 weeks when he. Well, we'll talk about it. Goldust versus Rikishi / Sultan. Goldust wins by DQ. It's a good match. Rikishi's pile driver gets me every time. Like, I thought he just kills people with that. Like, when he just flat out ass sits down, just the head was there. How are you not dead? Mankind and Vader defeating the Headbangers. No shit. And one of my favorite people, Ryan, I really like Ahmed Johnson. I really do.
Join the club.
Was he around long? No, did he get hurt? Oh, okay.
A lot.
Oh,
he
really?
was injury prone and theoretically in the backstage became an asshole. But they're trying to push him. He should have been the champ in '96 at some point. He was that good. And then he got hurt, and then he comes back, and he's kind of vengeful towards Farouk, personal level, and all that kind of stuff. And I think
so it's not just storyline. He actually doesn't.
No, Ron Simmons and Tony Norris hate each other's guts.
Good.
Guess it makes good later for TV. On. I think it's later on this year where he gets a shot at the WWF title against Undertaker. I'm really shocked. You've had 2 Raws since WrestleMania.
No.
And the
4 Raws.
Okay, still, your WWF champion has not been on either one of your shows for April.
No, he has not.
And your pay-per-view coming up is the Revenge of the Taker. And there's what revenge is he having because there's no story being built.
Well, he got his face melted off.
True.
So I think they're letting him recuperate from that, where Mankind set the left side of his face on, or the right side of his face on fire.
Okay, so he's off with injury. I needed a refresher on that. Now I remembered. No,
I got you, but it's still weird not having your main champion there. Not even with a promo segment. I think we get. Is this?
Did we get any kind of updates week to week on him?
Hold on, I'm making sure. We did get a promo segment where he is going to challenge Mankind, not challenge, but have the fight, and he's gonna bring Mankind into another version of hell that he's never seen before.
Okay,
that was it.
So, yep. You want to hurry up and go through your Nitro in Philly?
You don't want me to do my pay-per-view first?
No, it's the same day is your.
Oh,
Raw
I thought
you
he
just
did his. I thought he's been going first with his.
Uh-uh.
I still got 414
Oh, wait.
my guy.
Yeah, yeah. It's just weird because he started with a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
True. The 414 Nitro was not a lot to note. Beginning of the night, Nash says Luger has to go through him to get to Hogan. Again, this goes back to the NWO winning that match and kind of determining how their title shots are going to go. Midway through the night, Flair and Piper and Kevin Green again cut a promo about Slamboree. The only difference is this time Reggie White, being, they're in Philadelphia. Reggie White, longtime Philadelphia Eagle, is in the crowd, and it is announced that Reggie White's going to have a match at Slamboree against Steve Mongo McMichael. I'll jump to the end note after we cover the matches. We get Redacted defeating the Barbarian, and then he promptly gets murdered by the Dungeon of Doom. Dean Malenko defeats Hector Guerrero to retain the U.S. title.
It took TJ 2 or 3 minutes into the match to realize that that's not Eddie.
I did not. We knew that from the week before. I just said he looks a lot like him. Rey Mysterio defeats Juventud Guerrera. Ultimo Dragon defeats Lane Carlson to retain the TV title. This was a match I thought was actually decent. We get Six defeating Prince Iakea to retain the Cruiserweight belt. Decent match. I forgot how good of a performer he was. We get that Public Enemy High Voltage Philadelphia street fight match. I think the biggest note of that is Public Enemy comes out in Flyers gear. The Giant defeats Big Al. Who was Big Al again, Fry?
Big Al was 911 from ECW. ECW had a trend where if they would, each TV show, like one of the faces would be getting beat down by somebody, and the lights would go out and 911 would show up. He was like a 6'8", just big biker type guy.
Big boy.
WCW or WWE had talked about bringing him in to be a challenger towards the Undertaker when they were running out of opponents for Undertaker. But if you go back and watch this match, you'll see why they never brought him in, because the guy literally knows no wrestling moves whatsoever. The Giant, good thing he was in the ring with the Giant, because the Giant has enough human strength to pick him up and chokeslam him himself, because 911 never jumped for the chokeslam. It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
And then you got Paige beats Conan with a diamond cutter. Savage and Liz show up outside the ring, or show up in the crowd. Savage cuts a promo on DDP about his wife, tell his wife to stop fantasizing about Savage, which is really awkward since your ex-wife is standing right next to you. Just a thought. Paige goes running through the crowd after Savage. So the Savage Paige feud is not over with. And then Jarrett and McMichael beat Harlem Heat by disqualification. McMichael makes comments about Reggie White and how he's now a Super Bowl champ because he left this damn city and went and found greener pastures in Green Bay, which they were teammates for a year in Green Bay.
Sounds like if Mongo could have stuck around, he might have been another Super Bowl champion.
And then, of course, Luger beats Nash by NWO disqualification. It's just a run-in. Luger, DDP, Giant are all outside the ring. Sting shows up, throws everybody a bat, and we're off to the races.
We have more Batman.
Yeah. So, are we at a pay-per-view for you now, AJ?
Yep, we are at the In Your House Revenge of Revenge of Taker. Coming to you live from Rochester, New York, the Rochester Community War Memorial. The weird setup. Picture a normal WWE stage, ramp ring. This entrance was kitty cornered, and it was weird. There was no big ass Tron or anything like that. And I don't know. I just felt like the setup was weird. But Legion of Doom defeat Owen and the British Bulldog by disqualification, so they're gonna continue to hold on to those titles by any
Champion's
means necessary. But this next match, Savio Vega was pissed at Crush. Savio Vega very much was about to win this match to be the next WWF Intercontinental Championship. But Rocky Maivia gets thrown out of the ring, and without the ref looking, Crush just nails Rocky and lays him out.
Crush hits him with the heart punch.
Oh.
It's Crush's finish.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shitty finish.
It just looked like a punch
finish.
The way they were showing it.
It's a stiff shot. It's a stiff punch to the chest. It's called the heart punch because you're punching the heart. It's supposed to make the heart stop and knock you out so you get pinned.
Yeah, someone asked DeMar Hamlin about that.
Moving on. You know that guy picked off Tom Brady on the beach, right?
Let's not talk about it.
We're gonna have to cancel the rest of the show after that. I mean, God.
But
Is
yeah,
that all it takes? So if I have a hard episode right here, the rest of the show is canceled.
Evidently, that works in the NFL.
we'll have a memoriam next week. But yeah,
Bell salute.
Crush gets.
I'll make the dramatic return like in a soap.
Crush gets in the ring, and Savio and Crush start going at it to the point where the whole Nation of Domination has to come down and pull them apart. And Farouk basically goes, "Done. You guys are done. This is it. Stop it." He goes full parent mode.
You're gonna find it really, really interesting in 1997. By the end of 1997, you are officially in the era of factions. This is the faction year for the WWF.
So the Hart Foundation, got the Nation of Domination. We're gonna have DX.
Well, you're getting ready to. Spoiler alert! I know it's been like almost 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, whatever. This Nation of Domination version gets broke up. They all go their separate ways and form their own factions, where Farouk creates the new nation, which is where you get Godfather and you get Mark Henry and you get Rock and you get D'Lo. And then Crush goes on and forms the Disciples of Apocalypse. They all come out on motorcycles. They're a motorcycle gang. And that is Crush, Brian Lee, who was the Underfaker during the Undertaker versus Undertaker feud. They're both really, really close friends with the Undertaker at this point. And then Skull and 8-Ball are the Harris brothers. They're pretty popular, or pretty well known for their time in WCW and all that kind of stuff. And then Savio creates Los Boricuas. That Miguel Rivera or whatever from a couple weeks ago, where you asked me, is he important? He becomes a member of that team. He's also the same guy that when Edge debuts, he breaks his neck just by flipping up over the top rope into the floor. His leg lands on the top of Miguel's head and breaks his neck.
Oh.
But anyhow, so yeah, and then you get the Truth Commission, which ends up disbanding, and then you get the Oddities and you get the Headbangers, and yeah, this becomes WWF Faction Wars for 1997.
So they saw the DeMar Hamlin joke. Crap. So the next match, they put Billy Gunn, like I said this probably like a half hour or so ago, they put Billy Gunn with Honky Tonk Man, and all he's doing is losing. He loses this match with Jesse James next, and it's all he's doing, and Honky Tonk is just, you tried. But he breaks a freaking guitar over Jesse James.
Now, didn't Jesse James used to be with Honky Tonk?
No, he was with Double J.
Is that okay?
He was Double J.
It was when he was the
That-
roadie, right?
Yeah, but then he becomes the real Double J, Jesse James, because you find out that
He's the one
Jeff
singing.
Jarrett, he's the
Yeah.
one singing the most popular WWF song of the 90s. I have it on my playlist. I love it so much. Spend my days working hard on the. Never mind.
He's singing, not Double J. Jeff J.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Jeff Jarrett singing it, but it's really him. Jarrett leaves the company, and they bring them both. They both walk out at the same time. Only he comes back, and the storyline lets you know that, hey, I'm the real Double J. I'm the one that was really singing. It wasn't Jeff Jarrett. I'm the real artist. And he
I was
literally
off to
sang
the
his-
side of the stage and
Yeah.
was singing the whole time. He was
So-
lip singing.
The next match, Undertaker defeating Mankind with Paul Bearer. Undertaker learns to play with fire, and
I
you-
think he learned later on this year that he knows how to play with fire.
later on this year, not right here.
Yeah, I think he already knows how to play with fire here.
Okay.
But you learn later on that he's learned at a little young age that he plays with fire.
Oh, Kane. I was like, what the
My God, that's gotta be Kane.
It's gotta be Kane!
Yeah, thanks, asshole. But no, it looks like everything that's been happening to Mankind's head is magically saved because of his leather mask. So what does Undertaker do? Oh, mask is now off. Now he can play. And I think at the end of this match, doesn't Mankind set Paul Bearer's face on fire too? Or does that happen on a Raw? I know it happens.
Doesn't Undertaker burn Paul Bearer?
I thought Mankind did.
You watched it.
It says Undertaker hits Mankind with tombstone and pins to retain title. He then chases Mankind's manager Paul Bearer and beat both of them, finally shooting a fireball at Bearer's face. This is the start of the Kane. This is the whole he's alive angle starts off of this right here. Because if I'm not mistaken, did Paul Bearer have like red hair at this point, or was he still black haired?
It was
Okay,
it was starting to fade.
Yeah. So this is the whole start of this is the whole start of Paul Bearer telling Undertaker's deep dark secret. So this is April, and they build a story from April all the way to September. My God, what were they thinking? It's not going to pay off.
Hey, we're doing that in the WCW. We're having Luger fight Hogan later in the year.
At some point. I don't know, guys. I don't think you can build a story from April to September. I don't think it'll pay off.
And
I think it'll be a big red retard.
Shit. Can't say that word.
Redacted? Sorry.
That's better. But TJ, back to your comment. I watched these too early. Like, then there's still like a week and a half left, and I'm like, I'm gonna forget all this shit.
Yeah. So ironically
You're not
enough,
like Joe Shane and actually watching the tape of your players.
what is the
Hard Knocks.
what's the main event for this match, this pay-per-view? I kind of find it weird that Undertaker is not the main event.
So
the champion, not the main event.
So Stone Cold defeats Bret Hart by disqualification. This was supposed to be the first match.
Okay.
But
did they say why it wasn't?
Was Bret late to the building like he normally is?
No, Owen and Davey Boy. Actually, no, I think it was supposed to be like the third match. I apologize. After their match, they beat up Stone Cold with golf clubs in a bathroom.
Okay.
They looked like
Tanya Harding. Jesus Christ.
No, they look like irons. And they come running out of the bathroom, and Stone Cold's just dead.
Oh, nice.
And then Gorilla Monsoon was like, he wants to fight. We're just going to give him a little time to collect himself and get ready to fight, and they'll just go later, so that they end up being the main event. And I didn't think this was actually a match. I don't remember them ringing a bell for this. They were just kicking the shit out of each other.
They rang the bell earlier in the night with the clubs.
They never made it to the ring.
It was Austin wins by disqualification once
'Cause-
Owen, Bulldog, and Brett continue to attack him.
Yeah. Bulldog comes down and smacks him with a chair.
Let's go. Let's continue with you. Let's go to April 21st. It's your Monday night after the pay-per-view.
And it is from Binghamton, New York. What the fuck just
Binghamton.
where the
I've been there.
Intersection of 81 and 88.
I've been there.
trying to think of their baseball team. The Rubber Duckies. The AA team for the Mets. They used
That's the sports nerd side of AJ for everybody paying attention at home.
because they play the Hartford Yard Goats all the time.
Oh my God. Speaking of sports, AJ, I don't know what you have planned Tuesday night, but I can tell you for an hour worth, you need to be with us
Why?
because you want to be entertained for an hour of solid laughing your ass off.
Fuck me, Bob.
What happened?
We watched the first 2 episodes of the New York Giants off-season Hard Knocks, and TJ venting. Yeah, TJ said, "Where's halfway through the first episode?" TJ says, "Where's the alcoholic beverages?" You want to be entertained? Listen to TJ for the hour episode, just destroying his own football team. I enjoyed every minute of the 2 hours we watched last night.
Did
You
you
just want a roast beef sandwich.
You want to hear something
damn
funny?
near-
I've never
I-
seen Hard Knocks.
I almost peed my pants, legitimately, because I was laughing so hard that I had to go to the bathroom, that I almost tripped on my computer desk, fell against the wall, and almost peed myself.
You
Because
just
it
want
was
a
so
roast beef sandwich.
it was so entertaining. And we'll tell you about the roast beef story off air.
We have to be off air.
We'll be canceled.
We will definitely get canceled. We coming for you, sucker!
So, remember how 5 minutes ago I said I'm surprised this was even a match because they never rang the bell? Got a little confused with this Raw because, that's the second match. But the Sultan defeats Ahmed Johnson by DQ.
Rikishi defeats Ahmed Johnson.
Basically. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold ends in a no contest in a street fight.
You know, I laugh. I just saw a Sultan figure at Target, and I'm like, that's Rikishi.
I saw that same figure. It was next to my Ichiban.
That's number 1 in Japan.
Number 1.
Not China, Japan.
How do you get a
I
no
said
contest?
Japan.
How do you get a no contest in a street fight?
Because the match never started.
Because it happened in an alley.
That's what I mean. The match never started. They just kicked the living shit out of each other. Steve Austin puts Brett in the sharpshooter and does not let go whatso bleeping ever.
This is where they're building because Brett
Is that how
needs
their
knee
pay-per-view-
surgery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that how their
Okay,
pay-per-view
so this
ended?
is a way to write Brett's knee injury in on the story because he stays on TV after the knee surgery.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
he
that makes
stays in a
sense.
wheelchair for God knows how long.
What we got next?
Tiger Ali Singh, who won the Kuwaiti Cup, defeats Salvatore Sincere.
Shout out to our good friend Tom Brandy. We met him at WrestleMania at WrestleCon. His autograph's up there.
He was the one next to Honky,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Is Salvatore Sincere is what he first came in as from Italy, and then he changes his name to Tom Brandy, and he has a feud with Mark Marrow and has sends Sable flowers. So he's been closer to Sable than any of us, and I'm jealous of him every time I talk to him. Which is ironic because what's the next match? I kind of think it's funny.
Rockabilly with Honky Tonk Man
with
defeating
Honky
Jesse
Tonk
James.
Man, our other good friend, Honky Tonk Man. Thanks for the bumper, all that good stuff.
And
Shout out to Brandon.
And about time he finally gets a win, it kind of feels meaningless. And once again, the Honky Tonk Man beats up Jesse James after the fact, while Rockabilly's just out.
Yeah.
It's funny. I know you guys, the weekend, me trying to get a chair was your hilarious moment for Mania. But I think my still hilarious moment for Mania is Brandon trying to figure out how to operate AJ's phone to take a picture.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell this is, and I don't know how to work it. Can somebody give me a normal phone?
It's literally a button. You press a button. It's the same button on every freaking phone.
Can somebody give me a normal phone? I love you, Brandon. Oh, that was great.
And then the
what was your main event?
The main event is The Undertaker defeating Hunter Hearst Helmsley with China by DQ to retain the WWF Championship. China gets involved.
How about Mankind? What I'm reading this as you're reading. Mankind came to the ring with a blowtorch.
Yeah,
and attempts to set
he
the
couldn't get
champion
it.
ablaze.
He couldn't get it lit. He couldn't.
It's always
performance issues.
It always sucks when you can't get it lit first.
I shit you not. I was waiting for a stop when I'm watching this, and he's literally there for a good 35 seconds. Just come on.
Like no one thought to check this thing in Gorilla to make sure it would start.
Nope, it worked at the top of the ramp.
Oh.
And he starts walking down. He must have let go of the I don't want to call it a trigger, but yeah. And it goes out. And then he gets in the ring, and Taker's just.
You hurry up with that blowtorch.
I was waiting to see him say it. But you could literally, because Mankind has to come up with other shit to say because the camera's right over. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get you in a little bit.
All right, we're gonna change this up because DJ's next two shows are way shorter.
One of them is. One of them is quite long.
I thought both of them were both hour shows.
No.
Are you sure? I thought both were preempted.
No,
for
the next one's a big one. The next one's a big one.
Okay, so go ahead and go to that one then.
Our 421 Nitro, top of the show, JJ Dillon is shown having been promoted to the new head of WCW whatever.
He's the new chairman of the WCW Executive Committee. Just for a background story, JJ Dillon, the manager of the Four Horsemen through the 80s, managed Lex Luger, Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, all of them. He left to go to the WWF in 1991, 1990. Worked with Vince, was one of Vince's right-hand men, not his stooges, not his yes men. Worked under Vince for a little while. And I think right before this, he leaves WWF to come to WCW. This was the product of this is how Kurt Hennig ends up over here and all that kind of stuff because JJ knew when their contracts were up. So it was a smart move on Turner's part by hiring JJ to come back for behind the scenes stuff. So yes, JJ Dillon is now on TV. He's now the executive director of the committee.
And he has news regarding a suspended Bischoff.
Yeah.
We also get a little moment from Nick Patrick, who makes a plea to be allowed to be a WCW official again. He actually does make some good points about having taken bumps, and even though he was working with the NWO, he thought it was going to be a big job opportunity for him. The little guy never gets a say. The NWO made it seem like he might get a say. Yada yada yada. Baloney. He just wants to be a ref again. We get Fry's favorite thing that had happened a year earlier, would have been cool as shit. We get Glacier winning his match, Mr. Sub-Zero guy. And then we get this big Wrath guy making his grand entrance with his scimitar thing, and he gets all the way out to the ring and starts taking his gear off. and the little green guy Mortis that's supposed to be Reptile jumps Glacier from behind, and then their manager comes out and they steal Glacier's helmet. And if you're following along at home, I think now he has like 2 artifacts that are supposed to mean something.
The Mortal Kombat story is getting not over at all.
Oh, the fans hate Glacier. In fact, they love seeing Glacier get mauled.
Yeah, in this at the 33-second mark of this match with a super kick, he wins. At the probably about the 15-second mark, the whole crowd is chanting clear as day, Glacier sucks. So yeah, James Vandenberg is the manager. He finally gets Glacier's helmet. Ultimo Dragon beats Bobby Eaton. Bobby Eaton, one of the best workers of all time. Regal challenges Dragon for the TV title for Slamboree.
He just lost to Ray, but now he gets the match against Dragon, who Ray beat, and Ray's beat him, but Ray isn't. Okay.
The best part of this whole interview is when Regal's leaving to go back up the ramp, and Mean Gene Okerlund goes,
"Yeah, what?
Hey, Regal, one of your fans are over there. They're telling you
you're number one."
It was great. Ming beats Jericho. Jericho's not a big guy here at this point. It doesn't matter. Steiners beat Public Enemy to go to a no contest. Hugh Morris and Conan attack the Steiners again. Public Enemy helped beat them all. Beat them off.
Dude, the Steiners only ever get jumped or car wrecked or peppered. Like, the Steiners have not had a good start to the year. They can't ever just have like something normal happen to them.
This is the one I've been looking forward to. Jeff Jarrett defeats Scotty Riggs by submission with the figure 4. TJ, what did you think of American Males?
It's a pretty good song. AJ, have you listened?
I don't think so.
American Males. Fry has only told you like the last 2 WCW Raw shows to go listen to this theme song.
Yeah.
It was a good song. I thought it was decent. I was surprised.
You get a really, really good match between Six and Rey Mysterio. I don't like the finish. Finishes NWO finish.
Six? I really didn't realize, like, I said this to you last night we were watching. I thought he was smaller. He's always standing next to these giants.
TJ, you had a really interesting take on Six. I mean, on Ray. Can you enlighten me on that?
There's just nothing spectacular that I've seen. Like, everybody loves Rey Mysterio. He gets all this, that, and the other. And I'm not trying to take away from his career, but nothing is spectacular. Hell of a worker there every week.
Yeah, and just so you know, the way this match finishes, Six gets thrown out to the floor. Nash comes in behind the referee.
Oh my God.
Power bombs Rey Mysterio. The referee is standing on the ropes.
Randy Anderson is on the ropes, like looking at Six, who's doing something, and never feels Kevin Nash climb over the ropes, get in, jackknife powerbomb Rey Mysterio, and then jump back out. Turns around and Mysterio's dead. Huh? What? What happened?
JJ steps in and says it won't be tolerated. And the NWO reply with the same way we like to reply to AJ. Fight me.
They also take Ray away on a stretcher.
And then this is the best. This is the main event. It's Diamond Dallas Page versus Psychosis. we're watching this match and TJ goes, the bell just rang. I'll give it 3 minutes. Match is over in 50 seconds. Page hits you with the Diamond Cutter, match over. He's like, damn, I should have not gave it that much time. DDP challenges. I think Savage is on crutches again. Cuts the promo on DDP and Kimberly. He won't fall for chasing Savage again. Instead, chases Savage to come down to the ring, which he did not because Savage has a broken foot. And that's the end. Is that your last one?
We have the part with the NWO and the whole paving the road thing. Do we want to?
Yeah, we're starting to get more and more enticing dialogue between Piper, Flair, Kevin Green, and then they're gonna face Hall, Nash, and X-Pac. Um, to brighten the story up, Kevin Nash and Roddy Piper backstage are not getting along at this point. Flair and X-Pac can't stand each other at this point. So that's starting to flow out in reality. Piper makes the comments about how that the generation of the NWO just wants to skateboard down the road and get free, like get it all handed to him type deal. Nash comes out and cuts an amazing promo about how that generation of Piper and Flair and then the guys, they may have paved the way, but there was a lot of potholes that need to be filled in. And it's really good promos between the two going back and forth. And then we get a promo from, I think X-Pac does the promo first, where he talks about how Flair rips off Buddy Rogers. He took the moniker the Nature Boy, uses the figure 4. He's basically just taking everything from Buddy Rogers. Flair's retort from this was great because Flair's retort was I've been the world champion more times than you've had tail. I believe is the words he uses. I've been the world champion more times than you've had tail, sir. And then they're going at it back and forth.
They end up brawling. Hall comes out, who we haven't seen in a month.
Well, yeah, and is this the challenge? Is this when they challenge them out to the ring?
That's the start of the next week.
Okay.
We did also in the middle somewhere, I think we forgot to say it. JJ Dillon came out, said Bischoff has no authority in the WCW. He still has a contract. He is an EVP, but has no authority with the WCW, only the NWO. And 2 NWO members aren't actually NWO members because their contracts still are with WCW. And I think Fry, you said one of them retires, which is Wall Street.
It's Big Bubba and Michael Wall Street, which Big Bubba is getting ready to go to WWF within the end of the year, and then Michael Wall Street ends up retiring not too long after this.
AKA Bray Wyatt's dad.
TJ's last Nitro of this month is a hour episode because it's preempted because of the NBA Finals. There's not a lot to it.
Flair and Piper come out, say they don't want to wait to Charlotte to pave the road. Let's throw down tonight.
Yeah, Dean Malenko beats Prince IK for the U.S. title. Six beats Juventud Guerrero for the Cruiserweight title. Benoit beats Lord Steven Regal by DQ. Lex Luger and the Giant destroy the Amazing French Canadians. And then Mongo beats the Barbarian. Flair and Piper called the NWO out. They want to fight. They're standing in the ring, and all these papers start falling that says Tradition Bites. The NWO comes out. Flair goes out to the entranceway to fight them. He fights them off, and Piper just stands in the ring holding the paper, as in almost to say he was slapped in the face by their poster, like it pissed him off. Then he finally goes ballistic, and he goes outside the ring, and Nitro ends with them fighting in the hallway.
The only note I think I forgot to cover somewhere in here is at some point through all of this, Jeff Jarrett's in the ring having a match with somebody, and Mongo tries to come out with the Halliburton, and Reggie White jumps the barricade and steals the Halliburton from Mongo.
Yeah, so basically what we have built for Slamboree, and it's actually been a pretty good build for Slamboree. You've got the NWO with Hall, Nash, and X-Pac versus Piper, Flair, Kevin Green. You have Dean Malenko is going to defend the U.S. title versus Jeff Jarrett. Ultimo Dragon is going to defend the TV title versus Steven Regal. You're going to have
Mongo and
Reggie White, and you're going to have, I think that's it for right now. But still, you have 4 or 5 good matches or decent matches.
And there's still 1, 2, maybe 3. I have to look 3 Nitros before this pay-per-view.
So, all right, let's go.
Probably only 2 Nitros.
Let's go with your last Crawl from the Omaha, Nebraska Civic Center on
Yeah.
April 28th.
Flash Funk defeats Rockabilly. Another Rockabilly loss. The promo at the end of this match with Doug and Philip. Oh boy, they're tired of all the BS that's been handed to them. And then I think it's Doug Furnace at the end of it is like, well, we'll just come again next week. I go, if you're gonna go bad, go bad. Don't, we're tired of this. It's frustrating. We deserve better than this. But we'll come back if we lose. Very good technical tag team. That kind of lost me on that one.
Yeah.
Owen Hart with Brett and Bulldog on the stage defeat Rocky Maivia for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. And there was a couple parts of this match where I thought Bulldog was going to run down to the ring. There's a couple camera shots where he's making it almost to the ring. And Owen gets the title. And that's it with Rocky Maivia's title run. And
Owen wins this match and dedicates it to Brett, right?
yes. They're dedicating everything to Brett. Beating up Stone Cold.
And this is one of those this is a move you don't see very much anymore, and I don't know why, because it's a very cool little pin. The way he pins the Rock, and doesn't he put his feet up through his armpits and flips him over? That's a very cool finish. Not using the sharpshooter was nice. So that means that the Hart Foundation now holds all the gold except for the WWF title.
Yeah. Which is big. Vader squashes Jesse James. Literally. Goldust defeats Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Timeout. So this is also where they talk about Vader's troubles in Kuwait.
Oh,
correct?
yeah, with the interviewer where he gets in his
If
face
you've
and
not,
he goes to
if
jail.
if you guys have not seen that, I highly recommend you just YouTube Vader in Kuwait, and you'll see over there they're not really allowed to cuss on television, and basically physically assault people. And the interviewer was interviewing Vader and Undertaker because the main event for that night in Kuwait was Vader versus Undertaker for the WWF title. The Undertaker is staying in character, and
not really. He's dressed as his biker. He's not dressed as the dead man.
The host makes the comment about being fake. And the mastodon that is Vader snatches this guy, cusses at him, and gets arrested in Kuwait and spends like 3 days in a Kuwaiti jail before they released him.
Worth it.
Anybody that knows Vader outside of being when he doesn't have his mask on, Leon was always a big teddy bear from what I was told. And so to set him off the way that guy did it was probably not a good idea. But they were almost worried that they wasn't going to get Vader back from Kuwait. Of course, then by the time he gets home, it's made big headline news that, hey, this wrestler from the States just got arrested in Kuwait for attacking the TV host. But go ahead. What's your next one?
You never tell a wrestler that wrestling is fake.
You don't use the F word in my house.
Exactly. Goldust defeating Hunter Hearst Helmsley by countout. Really having issues remembering this.
That's because we've seen it now 12 times in the last 4 months.
But it was by countout. The match I really want to talk about is the next one. Undertaker defeating British Bulldog by DQ. Everybody hits the ring. When I mean everybody, you have Owen, Stone Cold, Bulldog. They're all hitting the ring, beating up on each other. And then somehow the camera gets brought to Stone Cold walking up the ramp. And there's just Lonely Brett. Brett's all by
In a wheel.
himself.
Keep in mind, Brett's in a wheelchair.
He was standing out of the wheelchair with a crutch.
Yeah, but I don't think we've discussed this yet. Brett's in a wheelchair from having knee surgery.
Oh, yeah.
So he's getting pushed around and everything. Now that everybody's fighting at the ring, Brett's standing up there by himself on a crutch with a knee brace on. So it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, easy pickings for Stone Cold. Gets right to Bret Hart, and I think we have the second to last. Well, no, I'll go back a little bit afterwards. Not Jim the Anvil just comes out of nowhere and just mollywops. Stone Cold, and just they yeet him off the stage again. Second week in a row, he ends up off the stage. But the Hart Foundation has another member that is not related whatsoever. Ryan Pillman.
Yeah, well,
his praying was really weird.
The connection there is because Pillman and Owen trained together in Calgary, and were a tag team in Calgary and Stampede. So his connection with the Hart Dungeon and everything is why he's a part of the Hart Foundation.
So, is this the year that you get the Pillman and the Stone Cold?
I thought that was next year.
No. Yeah, yes. You get the Pillman Austin stuff coming up. Remember, Pillman's dead before the end of the year.
Is he really? Oh shit.
Yeah. Pillman passes away in October of 1997.
Whole gun thing.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. That's a win for me. What?
I don't know if that's a win, dog.
All right. Well, I don't want to wrap it up quickly, but this was April. These episodes are going to be long. They're just going to be. We have to deal with it.
Especially if we got to recap like Money in the Bank and stuff.
Plus, we recapped everything ahead of time. But this is a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and put this out here so that we're not anticipating this. Yeah, it's no longer a shutout. WCW wins the month of April.
Hey!
Wow, we got one in the first quarter.
They're putting story. It's kind of like you guys totally flip roles because WWF is not the only story they're building is the Hart Foundation.
I mean, you're in that post WrestleMania haze.
Funk.
We lived it this year, literally.
I mean, they're not building any stories. We still have Goldust versus Triple H, like I said, for the 12th time since
haven't
WrestleMania.
Seen Taker on TV.
Taker's not been on TV a lot. Brett's hurt. The Hart Foundation's growing. Their battle with Austin continues. You got the really stupid story with, no offense to him, but Honky and Rockabilly and Jesse James.
Oh, so I'm not the only one that thinks it's stupid.
We all know where it's leading. We all know where it's headed to.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah. So, and WCW is building stories over there. They're chaotic, but they're building stories. And they're using celebrities in the right way. With Kevin Green and Reggie White. And Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman's been involved. He was involved in Uncensored, and he's going to be involved in the months to come along. So WCW gets a win here. So now it's 3-1. So it won't be over with by July, folks.
Before we close up,
August.
Justin Fleming in the chat goes, 2025 will be the 20th anniversary of the Monday night. Ow, my back hurts on that one.
Yeah, but it really it's the 20th anniversary.
Actually, no, it's the 30th. It should be the 30th.
It's the 30th year anniversary for it, but really it doesn't start until September the 5th. So, I mean, the first Nitro is the first week of September from the Mall of America. I remember that because I was watching it.
And
live.
Lex Luger shows up.
Yeah.
Wait, is that
What's
one?
he doing here? Yeah, Luger shows up.
All right,
The main event that night was Hulk Hogan and Big Bubba.
I've got one question for that guy over there.
What?
That way. AJ, if you had to pick one superstar through this first quarter of the year that has surprised you the most, who is it from your side?
That's a very good question. Did you think of that one all yourself?
I did, because you've known mine. I've been talking about it.
Is this what happens when you sit on your throne for 4 hours?
Well, TJ, go with yours first, because now I have to think.
Mine's Mongo. Steve Mongo McMichael has been phenomenal through this first quarter of the year. The stuff with him and Jarrett and Deborah, and just, I mean, there's like his in-ring looks great. His promo obviously is phenomenal. And then, like I said, him and Jarrett and Deborah and all the story going on with the Horsemen and stuff, it was just a very fun surprise to see how well he was acclimating, having been the pro star coming into the business.
So mine, mostly because I had no clue who the hell he was. Ahmed Johnson. I'm loving watching him.
I was hoping you were going to say it.
Well, Ahmed Johnson? It has nothing to do with him running into the ring with a 2x4. I'm really liking the feud he's having with the Nation of Domination.
He was always somebody for me that I thought should have been destined for more and just like falls off a cliff.
Well, Ryan mentioned he gets hurt a lot.
He's one of the figures I have from back then. I've got like a Warrior, a Taker, him, Austin.
And he has a lot.
You have my attention.
I have them. I even have a Gold Dust.
I'll trade you. If you have a Gold Dust with the wig, I'll trade you.
I have the wig.
Okay, I'll trade you. See, I got this really cool thing back here.
That ain't no fucking trade, man. I gotta find them though. They're like in storage.
Yeah.
All my other like figures, my Turtles figures.
But he's got the charisma. He's got the look.
Dude was huge.
The Ahmed Johnson has the look and he has the ring ability. Although he does hurt people a lot, he's not very clean in the ring.
Doesn't he like come to the ring in the Rumble and like get instantly tossed or something, or eliminates himself?
I think he eliminates himself to go after.
He's also really, really bad on the microphone. That's why you don't see him cut many promos.
We've also haven't seen Sid in a while either.
Not since
softball season. Mongo is probably one of the shining stars for WCW at this point. I mean, his microphone work. Steve Mongo McMichael has always been a talker, so doing a promo is not out of the norm for Mongo McMichael. His wrestling ability, while it's very generic and very basic, it's effective because you're a former defensive tackle. I think you'll be shocked to see what happens to him later on this year. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, since we're talking about Steve Mongo McMichael, if any of our fans, or if we have fans, or any of our followers, if we have followers, if anybody's watching this damn thing, if you're looking for
they are in the chat.
If you're looking for something to donate money and any of that kind of stuff to somebody or something that needs it, we're talking about Steve Mongo McMichael. He is battling ALS. He's in a bed. He's basically bedbound now. Can't even talk. Any of that kind of stuff. And it's really hard to see somebody that you've seen at his top physical peak level, and now he's basically you can't talk to him. You can't hang out with him, or you can hang out with him, but I mean, there's no conversation there. So if you ever wanted to donate, I don't know if there's actually a Mongo Foundation, but the ALS, I think he works with the one that played for the Saints that has it, that just got an award for the ESPYs, I believe. Gleason, I think is his last name. Steve Gleason, I think might be his name. Yeah. So if you feel like the need to donate, I highly recommend the ALS foundations that are there. Or I think there is a GoFundMe for Mongo. His wife, Missy has been very by his side the whole time. It's really upsetting to see something like that happen to somebody that, again, was so prevalently as a physical human being, athletic as all get out, to now be bedridden. It's almost back to the time where Bobby the Brain Heenan was diagnosed with throat cancer and then mouth cancer and everything, and you're like, he's the best, literally one of the best talkers in the wrestling business ever, and we could never get stories from him because he couldn't talk. So, um, thoughts and prayers with Steve Mongo McMichael and his family for what they're dealing with the ALS. But I digress. Sorry, the somber note.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, we got a platform. Use it, man.
It's not like we don't get views. We hit almost 500 people on Facebook alone, and then another 200, 250 on YouTube.
Yeah, I always liked Mongo. I'm not a Bears fan. I think Joe in the chat, our friend Joe, was from Chicago, so he knows more of Mongo than any of us. I always liked him though. He originally started in a WWF. He was part of LT's entourage for WrestleMania 11. Ironically enough, so was Reggie White. So basically, they took them being partners in WWF, being in LT's corner for WrestleMania 11, and now they're going to have a match on WCW. I believe Mike Tenay made mention of it that it's going to be the first time that two Super Bowl champions are going to meet in the squared circle. So, looking forward to that for the month of May. Slamboree is the pay-per-view for May for WCW. I believe WWF's is King of the Ring. Don't hold me do that. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it's the King of the Ring.
Can I throw a bonus question at the Guru?
Sure.
With Andrade, obviously now having that connection with Rick, who would you put with him to make a modern day Four Horsemen?
Out of any company or just WWF?
Well, go WWF just because that's where he is, but then do anybody because now you've got my attention.
See, WWF one's kind of hard because
then go anybody. I don't care then.
Well, automatically I'm putting FTR in the Four Horsemen because they're an Arn and Tully carbon copy.
I like that.
I mean, you could put the Fourth Horseman was always the guy that went after the mid title, so you could put Braun Breaker in there.
He's not always going to go for the mid card title.
What's that?
He's going to go for the top title soon, I would assume.
So you're gonna, dude. I like this team. You just had your carbon copy.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna put FTR. A Four Horsemen together, the Four Horsemen was always created that, Flair was the world champ or was going after the world champ. Luger or Wyndham were going after the U.S. champ or was the U.S. champ. And then Arn and Tully were always either the tag champs or going for the tag titles. And they would help each other go for those titles. Like if Barry had a shot at the U.S. title, the Horsemen were going to interfere. Same thing for Rick. They were going to do everything and anything they could to protect the world title, which is what a faction's supposed to do. So yeah, I mean, you put Andrade, put Flair as the J.J. Dillon part, give me FTR, and give me Braun Breaker, and I think you got
that's a hell of a stable.
The other one that could be an interesting part there that you could swap Braun Breaker out for, but you would have to turn him heel, and he's so white hot that I don't think you could.
LA Knight.
Exactly. LA Knight. You could put LA Knight in that role, and it would be perfect because him and Flair back and forth on promos would be electric. If you're going to make me pick somebody from WWE as a tag team to put in there.
No, don't. I don't really think.
I mean, a heel DIY would be interesting. I don't really like the Waller Theory team at all, so I don't.
I can't wait for them to break up.
Yeah, and then if you want to put a woman with them, you got Charlotte. So,
well, that's what I kind of figured with Charlotte and Andrade.
Yeah. So, by the way, WWF's next pay-per-view is May 11th, 1997, Richmond, Virginia, the Richmond Coliseum, for a cold day in hell.
Oh, so no blowtorches this time.
I hope not. It's cold. Although, if it's hot enough and it burns the nerves, it's cold because it doesn't have any feeling. So it could be cold.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in. Go like all our socials, whether it's Facebook or right here on YouTube. I will be at Kineticon this weekend, so if you guys are making the trip to the Northeast to Hartford for Kineticon, I will be wearing all the nerds get up, even the Wrestling with Nerds stuff. I will also be trying to talk to some of the cosplay wrestlers, because they're doing shows all weekend long.
Maybe check out the TikTok pages for some of that little blips.
Sure. I'm guessing that's a AJ Take Videos.
Or I give you the login for the TikTok.
Oh, so I'm doing all the work again. Got it.
I'm going to SummerSlam by myself. Do you think I'm not going to do any kind of videos?
Honestly, it never crossed my mind.
Well, honestly, I just thought about it, and two, I'm going to probably forget and just be all in the SummerSlam.
See?
I will not be in Wrestling with Nerds merch because it's August, and I only have a long sleeve shirt.
Oh, see, I bought the t-shirts and the nicely colored t-shirts that I'm normally wearing.
It's Chip and Dale.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button,
males.
Chip and Dale's.
American males.